There is no speech nor language where their voice is not heard. Isaiah chapter 40. Isaiah chapter 40. I don't want to read all 10 verses, but I want to read a couple verses. Isaiah chapter 40 and verse 12.
Measure the waters of the hollow of his hand, and measure out heaven with the span, and comprehend the dust of the earth, and measure and weigh the mountains themselves, and the hills in a balance. How many more do you read? Who hath directed the Spirit of the Lord, or being his counselor hath taught him, with whom took he counsel, and who instructed him, and taught him in the path of judgment, and taught him knowledge, and showed to him the way of understanding. Behold, the nations are as a drop of a bucket, and are counted in the small dust of the balance. Behold, he taketh up the isles as a very little thing, and Lebanon is not sufficient to burn, nor the beast thereof sufficient for a burnt offering. All nations before him are as nothing; they are counted to him less than nothing, and vanity. To whom then will you liken God, or what likeness will you compare unto him? The workman melteth a graven image, and the goldsmith spreadeth it over with gold, and passeth silver chain. He that is so impoverished that he hath no occupation chooseth a tree that will not rot. He seeketh unto him a cunning workman to prepare a graven image that shall not be moved. Have ye not known? Have ye not heard? Hath it not been told to you from the beginning, that ye not understood from the foundation of the earth? It is he that sitteth upon the circle of the earth, and the inhabitants thereof are as grasshoppers, that stretcheth out the heavens as a curtain, and spreadeth them out as a tent to dwell in. That bringeth the princes to nothing, who maketh the judges of the earth as vanity. Yea, they shall not be planted, yea, they shall not be sown, yea, their stock shall not take root in the earth, and he shall also blow upon them, and they shall wither, and the whirlwind shall take them away as stubble. To whom then will ye liken me, or shall I be equal, saith the Holy One? Lift up your eyes on high, and behold, who hath created these things, that bringeth out their host by number? He calleth them all by names, by the greatness of his might, for that he is strong in power, not one faileth. Why sayest thou, O Jacob, and speakest, O Israel, my way is hid from the Lord, and my judgment is passed over from my God? Hast thou not noticed, hast thou not heard, that the everlasting God, the Lord, the Creator of the ends of the earth, saith not, neither is weary, there is no searching of his understanding. He giveth power to the faint, and to them that have no might he increaseth strength. Even the youth shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up as wings of eagles. They shall run and not be weary, and they shall walk and not faint.
Someone says, well, who is God? Well, yeah, didn't you? Who is God? Well, there's the scripture. You know, if we believe that our authority of saying anything about God has to come from Scripture. to a person who is not saved, and they say, who is God? And we need to say the only authority that we have to say anything about God has to come through Scripture. Well, I don't believe Scripture, then I have nothing to say. I mean, we like to go back to the history, we like to do all this, which is fine, but the bottom line is we need to let people know that our authority to say anything about God does not come through our own understanding, but comes through what Scripture is teaching us. And so in these verses, Isaiah clearly gives us a description of God. In whom, verse 25 says, in whom then will ye liken me? Or shall I be equal, saith the Holy One. Who is equal with God? He is God. He is. There is no other person. And the word would be, so God is, and He has all knowledge. The word is knowledge. He has all knowledge. There is nothing that God doesn't know. I mean, that's what we need to understand. There's nothing that God doesn't know. Also, Janet, while you're on number 2, let's look at, are we on number 2?
Yeah.
We are?
Yeah.
All right, 55:9, Janet. 55:9. Go ahead.
For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are their ways higher than your ways. Are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts.
So you might want to underline that as well. That verse is saying that, just make it clear, I don't think like you do. God is God, and He has a higher thought than you do. Well, I don't understand. Well, that's good. If you could understand God, you would be God. You don't have His knowledge. So get over it. Well, I can't quite figure out God. Good. You'll be in eternity trying to figure out God. I think throughout all eternity you will always try to figure out God.
If you understand Him, then you be God.
And if you could understand Him, you would be God. I just don't understand. And that's why we are frustrated. Because we don't understand it. My wife said today, she says, I don't like that. I don't like that. We was talking about something about the Bible, and I said, it doesn't matter if you like it or don't like it. It has nothing to do with it. There are a whole lot of things I don't like that my impression of God I may like or I don't like, which is kind of dangerous to even come across that, isn't it? Well, I don't like that about God. That's a verging on blasphemy. I mean, in our own human, I just don't like that God would do that, because we don't have an understanding of why He's doing it. He's God, and He sets the rules, and as He sets the rules, that's what He does. And we need to yield to that for His own purpose. I think that's very good. So right now we're going to look at number 3, those verses in number 3. Isaiah 66. Isaiah 6, aren't these good verses? 66, 1 and 2.
Thus saith the Lord.
Thus saith what?
The Lord.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
The heaven is my throne, and the earth is my footstool. Where is the house that you built unto me, and where is the place of my rest? For all those things hath mine hand made, and all those things have been, saith the Lord. But to this man will I look, even to him that is poor, and of a contrite spirit, and trembleth at my word.
Okay, and then also look at Acts 17. Acts 17. It's in here somewhere, I know. I saw it the other day. Go ahead.
Oh, me?
Yeah, you're on number 3.
Okay. God hath made the world and all things therein.
Wait a minute. What verse are you reading in?
24.
God has made what?
Made the world and all things therein, seeing that he is Lord of heaven and earth, dwelleth not in temples made with hands, neither is worshipped with men's hands, as though he needed anything, seeing he giveth to all life and breathe and all things.
What was verse 27? You want to read that again?
27?
Is that the verse? 26.
24 and 25.
24. Read 25.
25?
Mhm.
Neither is worshipped with men's hands, as though he needed anything, seeing he giveth to all life and breath and all things.
What does he need?
Nothing.
He don't need anything. He don't need my love. He don't need my worship. He don't need anything I've got. He doesn't really need me. I didn't like the fact, I remember one time I was at my brother's church in West Virginia. He gets up and he said, God don't need your money. I started saying, no wonder you don't get any. You know, God uses the money, but he gives you the ability to give the money to get to the church. What I'm just saying is, God doesn't need anything. Yes.
He's got everything he needs anyhow. He's got us.
For his existence, he doesn't need anything to exist. He's self-existent. Whoops, so he is self-sufficient. He is self-sufficient. That's the attribute. He is self-sufficient. I'm going to help God out. You know, you don't need to help God out. I'm just glad God allows us in on what he's doing. I mean, I heard John MacArthur say, I just want to get out of the way. I don't want to get in God's way of messing things up. Satan does that enough. Satan has tried for 10,000 years to mess everything up that God tried to start and hit. If Satan can't mess God's plan up, we certainly can't.
Nope.
He's self-sufficient, and I think that's the essence of it. And we see that through nature. He doesn't need us to exist to do his purpose that he's going to do on this earth. And I think that is so essential for us to understand. Okay, number 4.